till the age of 16, we didn't have running water or electricity, and we all made it. So I just want to say that the strength of a woman and the quality, not the quality, but just the effort in education in all governments, I really think that this is automatically pushing women up.
Vimbaye, let me step in to say, when we talk about women empowerment, we should define it and define it properly. I agree with Mohammed. For the very well-educated women, they don't want you to tie the hands of men for them. They can take care of themselves, and they do. In the corporate world today, you don't give undue advantage to women, but they rise to those positions. I think what has changed and what is making that effective at that level is because of education. Unfortunately, the most important factor towards bringing up the status of women in the society is not the rights that we set for women, but education, education, education. You are here today. I don't know why you have only all men panel.
Thank you so much.
About
Thank you so much.
And that's the reality. But that's not because there are not enough qualified women to be on this panel. Let's deal with the issues of educating our girls. And let's bring it back to the issues on the table today. The whole world has to accept that this challenge that Nigeria has is not a Nigerian problem. You can't educate women if you are discouraging them and frightening them from going to schools, which is what is happening in some small part of the country today. We all have to come together to say, whatever the impediments are to properly educating women and girls, we all have to work together to fight to remove those things. When we do that and they have equal opportunities and rights to education, they will compete and in fact beat the men. That's my own opinion.
Well said.
The audience, we would like your opinions, please.
Maybe while waiting the audience. Well, what I would like to add as far as women are concerned, well, in the early 60s in Côte d'Ivoire, when you go to wedding, the mayor would say, we give a leaflet, family leaflet, to the man, saying he's the head of the family. Now, that's not the case.
Interesting.
Different. Well, and when we go, you give, my banker is here, when you give credit to men and women, the reimbursement rate is higher with women than with men.
That's correct. Yes.
Okay.
So women are a viable business.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Very good business. And much more honest. Until they come under pressure from the husband.
We have a question from the audience member here. Please, can you state your name and where you're from? And who your question is directed to, please.
I'm with the Yeshi Group, and I'm based primarily in Ivory Coast. I'm going to take a step back and ask a question. We were talking, the subject, the panel started with the question of integration and whether or not there's real integration or not in Africa today.
It's not working.
I think your voice is loud enough.
Non, mais les interprètes ne peuvent pas l'écouter dans la cabine. Ça voix porte, mais les interprètes ne peuvent pas l'écouter.
Are we talking about public sector integration, private sector integration? Because for me, using the ECOWAS, the French ECOWAS zone as an example, which is probably the only real integration in Africa today. Outside of that, we're talking about private companies like myself that work in multiple countries. South African firms that are all over Moroccan, Nigerian, migrating into different economies now. For me, that's integration. I think the public sector has been a little bit lagging. And I think that the real question is how do we get the public sector
Comment est-ce que le secteur public peut rentrer dans cette discussion et quelle part peut jouer. L'Afrique de l'Ouest est francophone, c'est élevé. Et lorsque nous allons en Afrique de l'Est Kenya, nous avons des sociétés comme tout ce que nous avons fait. Mais dans ces économies, on n'a pas de loi qui permet de
have an advantage. I want to hear the thought.
Okay. We've
East Africa. Can I just? Well, I'll say quickly, in French West Africa, for example, there's a certain common law between, I believe, 8 countries. So if I set up a company in Senegal, I have the same common law in Congo. That for me is very integrated. There's also a common currency. So I don't have losses in transactions. Whereas if I go to Kenya and I go to Ethiopia, I don't want to say
Do you still want the microphone?
And I think unfortunately, I think the economies lose a lot out of it.
L'économie perd beaucoup de...
Let me just thank you very much. My name is Joseph Mora. I work for KPMG Business in East Africa. Which is one region. Kenya, Uganda, and the 5 countries, Kenya, Uganda, and Burundi, operate as one economic region, one passport, and goods moving from one place to another.
Et les biens qui vont d'un pays vers l'autre, même les lois fiscales, on peut avoir une discussion.
You have some level of integration. Okay. Okay, would like to over here.
Ils sont où les techniciens?
My take, and I see access to market is one how citizens to participate in the economy, and then they can sell their products or even their urban demand. But if you don't allow that, then obviously the inclusiveness starts coming up. But that's one aspect of the story. Let me go back and say, since the conclusion is that growth is driven by investment, who supplies the investment? This is where the story starts. Because we need to make a difference. It's only the public sector and the private sector who can supply the investment. But let's go back to public investment. What is it for? It is actually to lower transactions cost, because farms and even households in Africa are very transactions heavy, and transactions costs are very high. So essentially, if public investment invests in lowering transactions costs, then we can see we enhance the profitability of private investment and accessibility to the market. Then finally, the story is not complete because it's not growth itself that is going to create this inclusive growth. We have to have targeted intervention programs for sectors and even regions that are going to be lagging behind. Because these are the realities we have in Africa. We have to come up with targeted interventions for either specific sectors of the market or even specific regions, because we cannot assume that we will match at the same level. Maybe this is where the case for policy intervention comes in, and the case for investment in terms of lowering transaction costs.
Can you please put your hand up? Okay, in that case, panel, will you please respond?
Yes, let me respond to the question on integration. And let me say that it's not really critical that governments are integrated in the large format in which he expects it to be. What governments need to do is to find means of working together to bridge the challenges that exist that make it difficult for trade to flow between economies. And unfortunately, sometimes because of the myopic views of some of the governments that we have, the major reasons why they fight this integration is because of the revenues they lose from taxes and import duties. Why won't you have a free economy across West Africa?